Hey, how are you? Oh, you look a little down. Did something happen? You know what? Why don't you walk with me? I think I might just have the story that will cheer you up. A couple of years ago, I used to tell stories in this little village called Crane. And every night, I tell my stories in this inn called the Refuger's Nest. And then, when the morning came, after a good night's rest, I'd go around the village to have a chat with everybody. I'd ask how they were doing. I'd ask for stories that they might have, but mostly, I'd go around to ask for feedback on my storytelling. My stories always had to be better, always had to be more than perfect. Now, in this village there was this adorable florist shop. This was one of the standard stops in my mornings, and just like with everyone in the village, I'd ask the florist for feedback on my storytelling. And every time I did, she'd give me a flower. And she did that every single day, without fail. With always trying to be better, always seeking ways to improve my storytelling, and not taking any time to do anything else, inevitably, I got burnt out pretty quickly. I put so much pressure on myself that I just couldn't go anymore. I just didn't have the energy anymore. And as a result of that, my storytelling only got worse. And I found that I didn't love storytelling anymore as much as I once had. One morning, as I was going around the village asking for feedback, everybody told me the exact same thing. You just don't have it anymore, they said. And it was devastating. But then I got to the florist shop. Come with me, the florist said. She seemed to have caught on to my bad mood. She closed her shop for me in the morning, at probably her busiest hour. And she took me to a greenhouse where she handed me a list. It was a list of chores, things that needed to be done in and around the greenhouse. You're going to complete this list, she told me. And every time you complete an item on this list, you're going to smell the roses. She didn't give me any other context. She didn't give me an opportunity to ask questions either. She just left. Now I have no green thumb, and I really didn't know how to do half the things on that list, and I was terrified that I would actually kill all her flowers. I was terrified that I wouldn't do it perfectly. But I didn't know what else to do, so I just set out to complete the list. And with every item that I completed, I stopped to smell the roses. I watered the plants, and then I smelled the roses. I cut some dead leaves from the tree, and then I smelled the roses. I checked the temperature in the greenhouse, and I smelled the roses. When I finished, I smelled the roses some more. It had such a calming effect that, even though I had completed the list, I stayed in the greenhouse for the rest of the day. It was very refreshing, slowing down a little bit, not having to worry about my stories and perfecting my craft. By making me stop to smell the roses every time I'd completed a task, the florist had made me realize that life is about so much more than pushing our limits. That night, in the Refuger's Nest, I told the best story I had told in weeks, and it was all because of her. And it wasn't that the story was good necessarily, but I was feeling it again, my love for telling stories. The story I told that night, by the way, was this exact story. Also, the following morning, the florist told me that I actually had killed some of her flowers, but she also told me that it was okay. She said that it had been for a good cause. My point is, I guess, you really should every once in a while, especially when you're feeling down or when the stress of work or life is just getting too much. Just stop what you're doing. Go outside and go smell the roses. Oh, how coincidental, there happen to be some roses right here. Go ahead and take a good whiff.